Hey, you. You're finally awake.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. A few days ago, I put up what do you all think is the best year of gaming, and a lot of you came at me and said 1998. And looking at some of the titles that were released that year, yeah, it's a bit ridiculous. There were some massive heavy hitters here. So today I'm going to give my thoughts on the top 10 games released in 1998. As always, this is my list. It's going to be very subjective, and some of you are not going to agree with this, and that's fine. It's all good. So that's why you tell me in the comments if I'm an absolute moron, if I've got it completely wrong, and what games are not there or should not be in this list. That's what this is all about. As always, if you think I deserve it, please hit that like button and subscribe as we make our way to 8,000 subscribers. We've also got a weekly podcast, and we've got a $1 a month Patreon, so you can come join the Smut Squad and get involved in the podcast, and the link is in the description below. Right, let's get into this, shall we? The top 10 games from 1998. At number 10, Final Fantasy Tactics. So we're starting off with Final Fantasy Tactics. This is widely considered one of the greatest strategy RPGs ever made, and this reputation has only grown over the years. If you're asking me why it's only at number 10, it's because better versions of this game came out. The PSP version is a better version. Obviously, the Switch version is a better version, or Xbox, whatever, PlayStation 5. But the PSP version is better, hence why this only makes it number 10. Now, this game doesn't simply rely on the good versus evil tropes. It has a very complex tale of political betrayal, the class warfare, religious corruption, a young hero caught in the world that's much bigger than he actually realizes. And yeah, basically, it's a bit of a dark plot, like Paul Ramsey literally goes through the mill and doesn't really get any credit for it. The game has a very brilliant tactical combat system, which is done over an isometric grid-based battle system, and basically it comes down to where you position your units, the jobs that you have and how they work together, and the risk associated with going in with different attacks. You have to exploit the height and the terrain, the turn manipulation. There's so much here to play with. Like, no battle feels absolutely trivial. Of course, you can absolutely grind it forward if you want, but even random encounters, especially at the beginning, can be very difficult without actually any planning. The job system is where this game absolutely shines. It's 20 plus jobs and so many different abilities, and you can mix and match. So if you want to have a white mage that can suddenly punch someone from across the screen, you could do so. Not necessarily the best use of your time, but it can be done. The world itself is so well written and beautifully done. Like, this is one where you can get absolutely lost in the story. Like, Delita alone, he's like one of the best anti-heroes in Final Fantasy history, and if I do a top 10 heroes or anti-heroes, he's definitely making that list. Considering Final Fantasy is often known for its light storytelling, the tone really, this game ain't it. It is extremely dark. Like, it's darker than 6, and that was a dark game. It's darker than Squall being Rudy Git in number 8. It's one of the darkest, I think it is the darkest Final Fantasy I can think of, although someone will come in and say, well, no, actually, this is a darker one. I know 6 had a dark mid-game, I know that. It's still bloody dark. I just love the game. Yes, there's a huge difficulty spike, which I've commented on a previous video. If you're not prepared for it, you know, you know. It's all I can say. You know, you know. But also, there has that replayability value because you might complete it with one set of characters and then, do you know what? I want to do it with different jobs. It's awesome. I want to play around with this. Final Fantasy Tactics is truly one of my favourite games of all time, and the more I play it, especially the version I have on the Switch, the more I absolutely love it. At number 9, Street Fighter Alpha 3. Now, I know some of you are going to be sitting there going, what the fookity dook are you doing putting Street Fighter Alpha 3 ahead of Final Fantasy Tactics? Well, hear me out. As I said, there are better versions on the PSP, but also I wasn't playing that on the PlayStation back in the day. Now, I had to wait until the PSP version because it was never released in European regions, whereas Street Fighter Alpha was, and by that time I was already a big fighting nut. Is that a word? I'm going to make it a word. Street Fighter Alpha 3 was a combination and basically the end of the Alpha series, and they threw everything in here. They threw the kitchen sink in, they threw your nan in there. It's massive. The roster's so big. They did all the World Warriors, they brought them back, they brought people from the Super Series, they made new characters, they brought Final Fight characters. It was nuts. It was nuts how many characters were in here. It was awesome. It also brought in the ISM system, where you had essentially 3 different playing styles. I'm not going to go into them exactly, but 3 different playing styles. So Ryu could play in 3 different ways, which was awesome. Again, considering you got like, what, 30 odd characters, times that by 3, it's like 90 odd characters. Ridiculous. The game also had that alpha flashiness, so it was so anime it was ridiculous, although it didn't essentially go into the X-Men series or the Marvel vs. series where the characters can do basically kamehamehas. It wasn't that bad, but it was flashy and really cool. And it had that anime aesthetic, which I absolutely loved. At the time when I played Street Fighter Alpha, I didn't really appreciate it, but the more this has gone on, the more I've got into anime, the more and more I liked it. The soundtrack is also absolutely booming, and the announcer in this game is absolutely top tier. He gets you pumped for any fight. It's, trying for a die. Oh my god. He's so cool. Also, what should be commended about Street Fighter Alpha 3 is this absolute ridiculous amount of one-player version. Normally the one-player version is just an arcade version. Nope. This had World Tour mode, which was absolutely incredible, which is like an RPG-like game in Street Fighter. I never thought I'd see that in Street Fighter, but I played this for dozens and dozens of hours. Now, I know you can sit there and go, yes, there's a better port on the Saturn. I understand that, that's fine. And there was the PSP version, which added extra characters. But I played the PS1 version to absolute death, and I still have that game today. Like, for me, I always have that debate, which is a better game, Street Fighter Alpha 2 or Street Fighter Alpha 3. Alpha 3 is more fun, but Street Fighter Alpha 2 is more technical and probably the better game. Street Fighter Alpha 3, they just went, fuck it, do what you want. Is it balanced? No, it's not balanced, of course it's not. But it's just so much fun. Give me and my brother Raphael, his name's not Raphael, that's what I call him. But we had so much fun playing this game, just beating the shit, doing the duel mode, the 2v1 or the dynamic battle. Oh god, against Bison. We just absolutely loved it. And number 8, Link's Awakening. Now, I'm going to sit here and people are going to go, well, hang on, this came out much earlier. Yes, kind of, Link's Awakening did. But DX is often considered the definitive version of Link's Awakening. And when anyone talks about Link's Awakening on the Game Boy, they always talk about this version. This was a very, very good Zelda game. Now, I can go into how good Link's Awakening is, and it's one of my favourite Zeldas of all time, and it should be yours, because it's absolutely goddamn brilliant. But the cool thing about this game is essentially, they just added a lot of colour. And oh my god, did it flesh out the world. Having full colour graphics just made the world feel so alive. It also had a Game Boy exclusive dungeon, the Colour Dungeon, which wasn't that good. It wasn't, but still, having these extra colour graphics, it meant it improved the clarity, the visibility. It also had a camera side quest if you had the Game Boy printer. Did I fuck? I wasn't minted, I wasn't bougie back in those days, and if anyone had a Game Boy printer, you're bougie. Has anyone still got their Game Boy printer? Did anyone actually use the features here? But either way, it's cool. Like, I'm not going to go over how good Link's Awakening is because, well, essentially the game was released much earlier. But the DX version, I often consider is the best one. Play it on the Nintendo Switch Online. It's there. And you'll agree with me. I'm not wrong. And number 7, Xenogears for the PlayStation. Now, Xenogears is just a legendary game for its ambition. It has so much different things it wants to explore, such as philosophy, psychology, reincarnation, identity, trauma, you name it, it wants to try and tackle it. Now, I could sit here and give the spoilers away, but I don't want to. But either way, all you need to know is that the plot does connect over multiple timelines, civilizations, and spiritual concept. That doesn't really spoil anything, and I'm not going to give any more away. But you've got a strong set of characters, including Faye, who is the main protagonist. Again, I'm not going to go any more about that, because I want people to really enjoy it. Because a first-time person would really get it, and if I spoil the twist, that's like, oh, it's a big thing, you want to know what goes on. That has a unique battle system where essentially it's a combo-based AP martial arts system, which is really cool. I'd never seen anything like that in any sort of game before. It got me absolutely hooked about what combos I could do. But it basically meant the game always felt fresh. Like, I just couldn't keep mashing the same button over again because I have to keep attention what's going on. There was also mech battles. Why not add mech battles? How fun's that? And they look cool as well. The animations for them actually felt like you were in a mech. Not just in, like, I don't know, a Power Rangers one where it just feels so slow. The world itself was so full of lore and history, all the different civilizations, all the political tensions. Everything was built in here. They really did try and absolutely smash one out. The soundtrack's awesome. The visual style's fantastic. There's just so much here to sink your teeth into. Like, you ain't going to do this in 5 hours. Like, this is a game that's going to stick with you for ages. Disc 2 is Disc 2. We'll just leave it as that. But either way, this is a game you're going to absolutely enjoy. And please, anyone, don't put the spoilers in the comments. Just say this is a great game, you know, give your review, but do not put the spoilers in the comments. I'll be very sad. I'll be a sad little panda. Sad panda. Sexual harassment. panda. Why that came into my head, I don't know, but it did. In at number 6, Banjo-Kazooie for the N64. Shows you what sort of list this is if Banjo-Kazooie is only making number goddamn 6. This is basically Mario 64, but better. I'm telling you now, I prefer this game all day long to Super Mario 64. I really do. This is a collectathon similar to Mario. However, you don't get kicked out of a painting every time you get something, and you can just play around and enjoy it. Banjo is this big stupid bear, I always think he's a big dumb bear, and Kazooie is a wide-cracking bird who I absolutely love, and she's brilliant, what a great character she is, and they're on the quest to try and save Banjo's sister, who has been kidnapped by Gruntilda. She wants to steal her innocence or something like that, and it'll make her basically look like a green version of Nicole Scherzinger. And I'm all for it. Just let it happen. Sod your sister, I don't care. Honestly, Gruntilda, green-skinned Nicole Scherzinger, I am all for that. I need to do a video about green-skinned women on this channel. I could probably get... Not you from Wicked. No. Cynthia Erivo. No. You are not part of that list. Weirdo. Absolute weirdo. And if you don't know what I'm about, look at the press tours. Weird. Now, to help Banjo and Kazooie, they've got a range of different abilities, but the funnest ability is when you basically get put on Kazooie's back and you run around on her legs and just go ba 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 ba. That is how you play this game. I don't care what anyone says. That's all you should be hearing for the rest of the adventure. Ba 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 ba. It's absolutely supreme. It's absolutely awesome. The worlds that you get to explore, from Mumbo's Mountain to Treasure Trove Cove, Clanker's Cavern, Bubblegoop Swamp, it's so good. Like, I actually enjoy exploring it, going round to try and find all the Jigglies, Notes, the Gingers, the Mumbo tokens, and this then helps unlock you to other areas. I just absolutely love it. But I think the most impressive thing I enjoy here, obviously the gameplay's really good, the boss battles are great, it's the humour. Rare's really witty writing is on scale here. Basically, Banjo's like, but it's Kazooie giving shit to everyone. Like, she's giving shit to Bottles, the bad. He's a Martin who's a mole. Giving shit to Bottles the whole time. Giving shit to Gruntilda. And Gruntilda speaks in rhymes the whole time. That is superb. They didn't have to go that hard, but they did. Like, this game is so much fun. Like, it's one of my favourite games on the N64, and I think Tooie is there, but, you know, Banjo-Kazooie, you're never going to beat that game. And I will fight everyone. This is better than Super Mario 64. It is. It's the humour. Humour alone does it. But saying that, you tell you where the humour of the gameplay is just as good, and the gameplay hasn't aged. It still handles absolutely awesomely. In at number 5, Resident Evil 2. Now, prior to me doing another video in the past about my top 10 PS1 games, Resident Evil 2 did not make that list. However, now I've had a chance to play it, thank you Retro Pocket, I have had a good go of it, and I think this is a great game. Now, I had originally played the first game on the PlayStation 1 and wanted to vomit because it looked so bad. Don't hate me, it was true. But this game really amps it and actually turns it into the series we all know and love. It really put a staple on the horror genre. You have 2 playable characters in this game, Leon Kennedy, a rookie police officer, and Claire Redfield, who's searching for her brother Chris, who was in the first game. But this is having multiple perspectives on what happened to the outbreak. Basically, the security protocols have gone to shit, because everything in the mansion has gone tits awry. Basically, what happened in a certain laboratory in a certain part of the world released a virus that infected everyone. Well, that's what's happened in Raccoon City. A certain virus of unknown origin left a house because security protocols weren't good enough, and then lo and behold, we have what we have, and there's an absolute outbreak and everyone's turning into zombies. Ho ho, what a comparison! I'm going to get in trouble for that one, aren't I? Saying that, I survived the other day, I'll survive this, I'll be fine. But this game really made that sense of immersion, and you felt absolutely terrified. That gothic adventure, the eerie quiet halls, and the zombies walking around. Like, there doesn't have to be loads of them, but it still makes you scared. Although they did decide to throw in some absolutely terrible monsters, such as the Lickers, the mutated William Birkin, the G-Virus abominations. And this game was scary. You had that limited ammo, the meaningful resource management, so you had to make those decisions about what I'm actually going to carry going forwards. Everything is going to shit, the world is falling apart, and you've got to work out what to do. Like, I specifically like playing with Leon because he's going from this naive rookie cop into this capable survivor, now looking at Resident Evil 4, and he's an absolute fucking badass. Like, I absolutely love this so much more than Resident Evil 1, and I can understand why this game is so beloved today. I do have the remake, it's sealed, but I do have the remake on the PS4, and one day I really want to play this, and you all need to let me know what it's like. And even though it is tank controls for the original game, I get that, people might not like that, it still plays absolutely fantastically and has that perfect balance. Like, it's considered one of the best survival horror games ever made, and probably the best version of classic Resident Evil of all time. At number 4, Tekken 3 for the PlayStation 1. I cannot understate how important this game is for the fighting game community and also for the death of arcades. Essentially, there's two ways you have to look at what happened with the arcades and how they used to be big during the Street Fighter 2 era. But then Tekken 3 came along, essentially, and I reckon that was the ones that basically put the nails in the coffin. Like, that gently put those nails in the coffin because it was so good. Like, finally you've got the arcade experience at home. And then Soul Calibur came along the following year in 99 for the Dreamcast and basically went, fuck it, we're going to complete it. Those two games destroyed the arcade, in my opinion. These were the ones that did it. Now, the step up from Tekken 2 to Tekken 3 should be viewed. Like, the step up from Tekken 1 to Tekken 2 was big, but from 2 to 3, holy crap, you could do a case study on it. There's smoother animations, deeper mechanics, better physics, the environments looked amazing. Just the way the characters moved, like, they looked like proper humans, they acted like proper humans, and that's what made it so fluid. Like, the game was just so good, and when I did this for the podcast, this was a few years ago when we first started, I was playing and I was like, holy shit, this game still holds up now. Whilst Tekken's template does resemble number 5 now, and they've kind of stuck with that, Tekken 3 still has the bones of it, and it still plays so well. And this game should always be praised because it took a big jump from the narrative sense from Tekken 2 to Tekken 3, and because of that, a lot of the characters had aged, or they went missing, or they died, and so many new characters came in. From Jin Kazama, from Hoang, Ling, is it Ying? I can't remember pronouncing it. Zayu, Eddie Guardo, Brian Fury, Forrest Law, who is Martial Law's son, and New King, so many new characters. And sometimes if you look at, like, maybe Street Fighter 3, the new challenges, that could have been the end of it. Or New Generation, I should say, before anyone has a go at me in the comments. But yeah, that potentially game nearly died. However, Tekken 3 strived. Again, the game is very accessible for new people, but if you want to master it, you've really got to get there. It also had some great endings, like the CG cutscenes at the end was so funny. Well, some of them were serious, some of them were funny. Basically, anything to do with Heihachi was absolutely hilarious because I goddamn love Heihachi, his endings are awesome. It also had a buttload of side content for you to play, including Tekken Force Mode, which was a side-scrolling beat-em-up, which is alright, it's not Streets of Rage 2. And Tekken Ball, which was a volleyball-style game where you damage opponents with the ball, which is hilarious, and that's how you get an extra character called Gon, who was a little green dinosaur who's never been seen again because he was a guest character. But even still, he was still fun. But back then, this roster was iconic. The mechanics were deep, the presentation is still stylish. Seriously, go back and play Tekken 3 and you'll sit there and go, Jesus Christ, this really does hold up. Probably more than anything else on this list. It still holds up today. In at number 3, Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation. Yep, I'm putting it at number 3. Someone's going to hate me for that, but I am. I'm putting it at number 3. And Metal Gear Solid 3 was really where Kojima went, yep, swung his dick out and went, I'm here. I am going to change absolutely everything, because he basically made a movie. And it essentially shifted how we look at video games, and it made it more like a story. There was great cinematics, there was stealth gameplay, and it had that emotional depth. Like, even today, it's still sat there, and with number 2 and number 1 as probably some of the most influential titles ever made. Like, there was nothing that had been like this before. So prior to this game, a lot of the story was often delivered through cutscenes or text boxes. No. Here we had different camera angles, we had acting, long-form storytelling, film-like pacing. Again, it felt like a Hollywood thriller. The stealth gameplay you think would be the main thing, and it should have been, but obviously the dynamic presentation seemed to take over. But yes, the gameplay was stealth-based, and this game proved that sneaking around can be just as much fun as shooting people, although you can shoot people, but the idea is to sneak around in a goddamn box. And this was a very adult game. Like, basically, there's the whole thing of psychological trauma, genetic engineering, nuclear bombs going off, loyalty and betrayal, the nature of war and soldiers. There was a lot of stuff here that Kojima played with that, again, would probably go over a younger player's head. Every character in this game became a legend overnight. Our protagonist is Solid Snake, who's a very cynical, world-weary human, and I like this man, but he became a literally internet sensation overnight. Then you had Meryl Silverbear, who I managed to keep alive. Yep, I managed to save her. Otacon, who was basically a computer guy who pissed himself because he was so scared, unlike the ever-valiant Snake. But even some of the enemies were awesome, like Psycho Mantis with the ability to read your read your memory card, which was just goddamn awesome at the time, blew my mind. Like reading your memory card and making your controller move, oh my god. So good. But again, the main thing that would set this game apart was the voice acting, and how it just didn't feel like Resident Evil versions of campiness. It was written, directed, and acted like it was an actual movie. Like, Jesus Christ, it was a full movie. The soundtrack was also added in, but apart from that, you had the alert theme there, which just became legendary in its own thing. Like, if anyone says anything sus, it comes in. And like Aber and Preach, one of my favourite YouTubers, they use it if someone says something sus. I should use it if someone says something sus. And Kojima left you with this game thinking more bigger pictures, like what does it mean to be a soldier, who controls war, and what freedoms do we actually have. It's a very, very clever game, and I can understand why it was so loved. But the game introduced several aspects which were praised then and can still be praised today, such as the guard's footprint appearing in the snow, using cigarettes to reveal laser traps, the guards will hear your footprints depending on what you're walking on, and using knock-knock mechanics for diversions. Very clever, but it makes you all feel like you're an absolute undercover badass like Solid Snake. And essentially this game influenced so many others. You could look at Splinter Cell, Hitman, The Last of Us. It's just a big icon. A lot of people can actually sit there and go, yep, without this game, I don't know where we'd be. And number 2, Zelda, Ocarina of Time for the N64. Yep, I went with this for number 2, so you're thinking, what the fookity-dook is number 1? So when Ocarina of Time released in 1998, it didn't just set the standard for Zelda titles, it set the standard for video games altogether. It has the highest rated score on Metacritic and one of the only scores to get 40 out of 40 with Famitsu. And it managed to successfully do that transition from the 2D games of past to the 3D games that we needed it to be. The Z targeting, which was introduced to this game and then was pinched by everyone else, allowed for that smooth 3D combat. And this then allowed the camera to follow Link dynamically, and it never felt clunky you might have done in other games like Mario 64. I love the world of Hyrule in this game, and everything just felt so alive. Like, the game felt absolutely huge. And you can argue that Hyrule Field isn't that, well, got much in at all, and I agree with that. But the rest of the world's huge, and it's massive. And every world has their own environments, their own characters, their own feel, their own music, their own distinct nature. I loved it. I loved the time travel story, which added the real emotional weight. Essentially, when you go do 3 MacGuffins and you come back, you go from Child Link, after doing a little bit of bollocks, you go from Child Link, that sounds really like you've just touched someone. That's not the case, you know what I mean. You pull out the Master Sword, that's even worse. Oh no. Oh, well, I'm getting cancelled for that one. But either way, you pull out the Master... Oh, God. You take the Master Sword. You get both hands on the... You sheath the Master Sword. Oh, so the Master Sword falls out the pedestal. I don't know how else I'm going to do that without trying to crack up. And Link is trapped, and basically because they need to protect him and he's not old enough, they wait 7 years, then release him onto the world as an adult. So then you play the game where the world's all fucked up by Ganondorf and you're now adult Link. And I loved it. It was so cool. There were so many then big boy dungeons that you could play around with, and I thought it was awesome. You got to play with the ocarina, or ocarina, however you want to pronounce it, and you tried to be a musical maestro but then failed. But still, it was cool. Some of the soundtrack sticks with me to this day. The opening Zelda tune, Zelda's Lullaby. Some of it is so good. Not the songs I used to try and play. And I said, its legacy is absolutely unmatched. And any game which is a 3D adventure game could sit there and go, yeah, I based myself off this game. It set the blueprint for modern day game design. And out of everything on this list, it is definitely the most most impactful. Maybe to video games, but maybe not to the world. Because number 1, Pokemon Red and Blue. I know what some of you are thinking. How can you say that Pokemon Red and Blue is the best game in 1998? Told you. First of all, it's my list, alright? While Zelda had a huge impact on me, it did. It gave me a big feeling in my tum-tum. This thing gave me butterflies before I'd even got it in my hands. I'd seen the adverts, I had a magazine talking about it, I'd saw it in an old book that was like how to catch fire, how to catch blizzard, how to catch thunder, like a cheat book, and it was called Pocket Monsters, obviously referring to Moltres, Zapdos and Articuno. I was excited for this game before my mother even bought it, and W.H. Smith, rest in peace W.H. Smith, and I got it in my Game Boy, and me and Squirtle went on a journey that has never been matched since. The whole idea of gotta catch them all, gotta leave my hometown of Pallet Town, gotta defeat the 8 gym leaders, gotta beat Team Rocket, and then become the league champions was something else. I fell in love with Pokemon like Pikachu and Raichu and Squirtle, who's became my hero evermore, and now I found a way. Oh no, he'll be dead, won't he? I was thinking I can recover him from my old Red and Blue games. I still got them, but apparently no, after a certain while the battery dies. Because there's now actually a way to get them from gold on... No, it should be in gold, but that's probably battery's dead as well. I'm getting excited for nothing. Leave me alone. I had played nothing like this in my life, ever. I wasn't a big RPG nerd. I wasn't really in that genre, so this was my first taste of it all, and I fell in absolutely love. Pokemon became a huge impact in my life. I became, well, it wasn't until I eventually went to the Pokemon UK Championships that I actually learned how the game was actually played, about special stats and attack stats and all that. And since then, as I keep ranting on about this show, back in 2010, I was number 2 in the UK online and ended up one of the top players in the UK Championships, and have still been able to play it now, so I can still play Worlds competitors. Even though I've not played for 2 years, I can still beat and give Worlds competitors a really good battle. Am I going to appear at the event in Sydney this year? Hopefully, if I can get a ticket, because I really want to go. But it was the birth of a cultural giant. We all know what Pikachu is. We all know what Pokemon is. It's the biggest multimedia franchise in the fucking world, and everyone and his dog has heard about it. Even my mother heard about it, and she didn't like video games. It's huge. And that alone, the impact alone, is nothing short of brilliance. Now, people can look at the first Red and Blue games and go, well, that's not a good game. Well, true, I get that, and there are many things that are broken with it. I still love the first game. Like, I could play that probably blind. Maybe that's a challenge for another day. But I've played it so many times, I absolutely love it, and I genuinely don't sit there and find fault with it. I know it sounds I put my goggles on, and I am, but I love it. I love the first generation that much. I said I will play that and never get bored of it, ever. The first 2 generations I'm in love with. Pokemon Gold, Silver, Crystal, Pokemon Red, Yellow and Blue, I'm in love with, I'm in awe of. And they are such good games, and they mean so much to me. Like, I brought them all the way to Australia, and I framed them. I've still got them, and I'll never get rid of them. The blue's a bit faded, the red's a bit faded, yellow's okay, gold and silver are okay, but they'll always remain in my collection, and they're never going to go anywhere. And that's it. My top 10 games from 1998. What did you think of my list? Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm a little bit silly? And do you think there's ones I should be talking about that weren't here? And I know there's a few. One called Half-Life isn't here. Let me know in the comments below. Until then, I'll see you all in a few days from the video. My name's been Danny. Follow your dreams.